It's time to talk to our guest who is live in the studio with me. And again, I definitely want to thank my sister and colleague in the business, Sister Karen Alexis. I pray that everything is well with her. And, I know she's forever busy doing something. So, so I definitely know that she's not too far away. But I definitely thank her because a while back, we did a networking event here in my studio, in my office, and we had a great turnout and met some great people. And I told them, I said, if you write your name down, if you do, what I'm saying, if you give us the information, then I will have you on the show. We're not going to talk about how many people. I mean, then again, people are busy, and so, you have to be respectful of that. But, again, like I tell people, and I'll say it again, and I mean, outside of the money, I mean, I'm very persistent. If I say I'm going to get somebody on, I'm going to get you on. Okay. How you say it? I don't even want to say the actual word, but rain, sleet, or snow, I'm going to get you on here. I don't got to drag you in by your big toe. I promise I'm gonna get you on the show. But I appreciate the opportunity to have Miss Robyn. Should I say Robyn the whole? Did I say the whole thing?
It's Robyn Hill.
Oh, okay. I'm about to say it's like a pimp name slick back. I gotta say, gotta say it all one time. Robyn C. Hill.
No,
okay.
That's just how I sign my name.
Oh, okay. Robyn C. Hill. Okay, so I don't have to say Robyn C. Hill like a pimp name slip back. You gotta say it all one time.
No.
Okay,
You say Robyn Hill.
Okay. But definitely, well, I said that the wrong way because I was supposed to introduce her properly. But yeah. Well, and since I said that, let me go ahead and because everybody who's, especially whether you're joining me live in the studio or you are on the phone. She is. I'll put it this way. Like I said, I've read some information on the book, and just for what I know she does for a living, I know it's definitely something necessary. Again, with all the issues that's going on and all the hustle and the bustle, and it's like, okay, who do I talk to, and who do I feel comfortable talking to? So to help me talk about that, because sometimes it does take a healing conversation, is hold on. Let me see. There we go. Owner and therapist at Robyn C. Hill Counseling and Professional Development Services and Executive Director at Virtue Inc. for Women. Help me welcome live in the studio, Miss Robyn C. Hill.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me. I'm honored to be here, and I'm grateful that you gave me this time to talk.
I appreciate you for coming in. I tell people I'm like a big kid. You had all the other big radio stations. The people come in all the time. I ain't gotta drag people in by their big toe for real. But it's definitely an honor and pleasure to have you here again, especially talking about a topic that unfortunately most people are afraid of in certain aspects, or they're very skeptical about it because well, I don't know what they're gonna say, and I don't know what's gonna happen when I get there, and are they gonna judge me?
Right.
And that's I mean, I ain't gonna lie to you, I'm one of them.
And that's why I wrote the book the way I wrote it, A Healing Conversation. It was basically to give people a taste of what counseling is like without actually going into the counseling setting.
Right.
And
Okay.
I also let them know what to expect. So I go through explaining all the questions and that I'm nosy and I'm going to dig, but it's not you don't have to talk about anything that you're not comfortable or it's going to trigger you.
Right.
Working through resistance and developing some skills. A lot of people don't realize because they are afraid, especially dealing with painful past stuff. They're afraid that if I go, we're going to jump right into it. And actually, no, you don't. You shouldn't be. You need to make sure you have the skills to deal with it because you can do more damage bringing up old stuff.
Right.
In that first session. So I spend more time just talking about everything else that's going on with the person, just getting to know them, warming up to them.
Right.
And it takes a while before we actually get to the actual pain.
How do you say to get to the nitty gritty?
Yeah. I take my time. I want them to be comfortable and know that if I bring it up in a session, that when they leave the session, that they're gonna be okay.
Right, and that's very important. Again, we're going to definitely talk about that. But before we get to that, we got to find out about you because this is your first time here.
Okay.
And you did it if you was a returning guest. You're like, oh, remember when you came before? No. So first of all, tell us about you, Miss Robyn here. I don't know if you want. I don't know how far you want to go back, but definitely want to find out how you got into the field of counseling.
It's interesting. I was born and raised in Cleveland. Went Cleveland Public School graduate. Went to John Marshall High School. And we come up on our 20-year reunion.
See, now you're trying to tell your age. I didn't ask her.
That's my painful conversation I need to have. I'm just dealing with the 20 year. But yeah, went to Kent State. My first degree is Pan-African Studies. I love Black history. I love studying the history of Africa and the diaspora. I loved it. But in my last year of doing Pan-African Studies, I realized I had a gift because strangers would come up to me and start telling me their life stories. And I would be in a library or on a bus, and someone said, I was involved with a Christian organization at the time. They said, that's a spiritual gift.
Right.
That, you have a gift of counseling. So I went and talked to a pastor about the gift, and he said, you need to go to Ashton Theological Seminary. So that's where I went to get my master's degree. But it was a few years after I finished my bachelor's. I thought I would work and save up. And there's a saying that says, if you wait for perfect conditions, you'll never get anything done.
Right.
It's actually a scripture, isn't it?
I believe so. I believe so.
So all that saving never happened. I just eventually just took the jump and went back to school.
Okay.
And I got my master's in clinical pastoral counseling.
Oh, wow. So now I'm going to mess with you about something.
Okay.
You said clinical pastoral. So that means you're a reverend?
People might call me minister and stuff, but no, I learned how to use
Reverend Robyn C. Hill.
No, that's too much.
No, she wasn't ready.
Right. No, I do biblical counseling.
Okay.
And what I like to say, because I think that runs some people off too, because a lot of people go on to seek pastoral counselors, and it's been more preachy and church recruity more than it has been counseling. So I like to say I'm a Christian psychotherapist, where I interweave my clients' faith system into their healing process.
Wow. And that's very important. First of all, just the fact of you including your faith or including God into it, because sometimes we just deal with issues and forget that, hold on, there has to be somebody there to, support us after, once you leave counseling, who's going to hold you up?
Right. And the thing is, what I'm finding, I think in our society, we like to separate. We love to compartmentalize everything. So we want to take the spirit out of everything in our society. But in our essence, we're spiritual beings, regardless of whatever your religious belief may be.
Right.
You believe that most of us believe we're spiritual beings. So how do we exclude that from our mental health? It's almost like you're not really dealing with the full issue.
Right. Oh, hey, real quick, and I told you, I love when people come and support me. I definitely want to give a shout out real quick. Again, I told you all about her show. Comes on every Friday from 9 to 10 o'clock p.m. Yeah, she said, hey, Robyn.
Hey, Tina. That's my sister right there.
Yeah, she's in our chat room right now. And of course, those who are listening, feel free to join us in our chat room. Again, you can call us at area code 914-338-0665. Definitely, again, we'd love to get your comments. And if you have any questions, feel free to, again, chime in, because that's necessary.
Tina is the I Am Superwoman.
Yes.
I gotta give her a little shout out. She is I Am Superwoman. She has a wonderful show, and she does so much for everybody. And multipreneur. She has various businesses, and she's high into empowering women. So I gotta give her shout out.
And not only that, I always mess with her, because every time I see her, she got a different.
Business, right?
But not only that, but she always keep her head together, like, wow, Robyn. I mean, I'm not Robyn, Tina, like Tina, wow. She don't. I'm gonna get on and talk about that one day, because she gets the.
She look good though.
Yeah, she keep, and she'll tell you, nah, that ain't the right hair. You need to get that one. That ain't it. Thank God I didn't. I think I was blessed with a little something. But no, let's get clear. I'm about to get distracted. So you got into counseling, and again, like I said, in what really drew you to becoming being a counselor?
I found people coming to me for help or talking to me, and I like to listen and I love
Okay.
to talk. But and like I said, I noticed it, or someone explained to me that it was a gift, and
Mhm.
I wanted to cultivate the gift. If you realize you have a gift, you have to cultivate it to make it grow.
Right.
Um, when I left, when I graduated with Pan African Studies, I went to work in payroll. I was doing data entry, and my worst subject ever was math.
Mm.
And I'm sitting at a computer desk doing math for 8 hours a day. And I literally was crying at my desk. I said, I gotta get out of here. That's what
Wow.
pushed me to go ahead and do what I knew I was supposed to do.
Right.
But I love talking to people, but I wanted to make sure I got it right.
Right.
So I wanted to go to counseling. I love God, and I wanted to be able to give people sound counsel
Mhm.
with the Bible. So I went to seminary to get the balance. And Ashland Theological Seminary is one of the best schools in the area to give you that balance. I
Right.
think I've seen some other people. I've even talked to other people, and I'm thinking you didn't get a good teaching on how to integrate the psychotherapy with the biblical stuff. It's a lot of insensitivity sometimes.
Right. And again, because that's the biggest one of the main points we want to talk about again, especially when we talk about your book. Again, a healer conversation, beginning steps towards dealing with the painful past. Kind of just straight to the point. Most people don't like counselors.
No.
For you, from your standpoint, why is it that, I mean, in as therapeutic as it may be and as necessary as it may be to move forward, what is the biggest stigma with counseling?
One, you're going to get labeled. Most people are afraid to get labeled.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a truth because if you're using your insurance, you got to get a diagnosis. And I make that very clear to my clients up front.
Mm-hmm.
And I myself will even go with a lesser diagnosis if there's because it doesn't, I accurately diagnose, but I may go with a lesser one to make
Right.
a person feel more comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
So that's like probably one of the main stigmas. But when you're looking at culturally, especially the African American community, there's a distrust of the system.
Right.
And so you got history of inhumane treatments in psychiatric hospitals in hundreds of years ago. And additionally, when dealing with church folk,
Mm-hmm.
psychology came on the scene as an affront to the church
Mm-hmm.
because the church wasn't dealing with spiritual issues. Just to give some history, back in like the early days, early civilization days, spiritual leaders were into the soul of a person.
Right.
They were, if you came to them with a problem, they were talking about meditation, prayer,
Mm-hmm.
disciplines to get you whole again.
Right.
But when the church started to form formally, and in order to fight um, occults and things that were claiming to be the church, they became more focused on defining who the church is
Right.
and making sure you fit the quota and followed the rules.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's what the church got stuck on, and no longer were they dealing with the spiritual issues and the mental issues.
Right.
So psychology comes on the scene because it's saying we're going to deal with the psyche
Mm-hmm.
and throw the whole religious guilt thing out the window.
Right. Right.
The word psyche in its original form means soul.
Mm-hmm.
And so in the beginning days, they understood that the mind and the soul and the spirit, they were all connected.
Right.
So it's time to get back to that kind of
Right. In other
counseling.
words, that I think that I know that sounds like the synergy. That sounds like synergy. Yeah, that sounds like
Yeah, me and
synergy.
the host at the network thing, we kind of were talking on that for like a split
Yeah.
second, and it was time to go, and I had to leave, but I couldn't stay long. But
Oh no, we got time. We got
yeah,
time.
but yeah, that was I think the holistic health. He was
Mikael Newbank,
Yeah,
yeah.
he was talking, and we were discussing, and I was planning my approach. The mind, the body, and the spirit are all one.
Right,
I look at it like a mobile that you would have over a baby's crib.
right.
If you pull one out of place, the other two automatically go out of place.
Mm-hmm.
So in order to have balancing, you have to balance all three areas.
Right.
So, and sometimes when you're treating someone, like I'll have someone come in with depression that comes out of nowhere. I said, when's the last time you had some blood work done? Because it could be that it's your thyroid, or it could be that you're diabetic.
Right.
So I need you to go get your blood work done, or it could be your menopausal, because I deal with a lot of women.
Okay.
And and I have a couple women now. They laugh at me because I say, well, we went through this last month, 4 weeks ago. You was crying and didn't want to live anymore. I said, I think it's what they call PMDD, and you need to go see your gynecologist and get tested, because there's no point in increasing antidepressants and getting on all these medications if it's not that problem.
Right.
So the mind, the body, and the spirit are all connected. And when you have a spiritual issue, it can come out depressed.
Mm-hmm.
If you having a thing where you feel like you and God are not on terms, it's gonna make you depressed.
Right.
And or even if you're depressed about a loss, and you're not understanding why God did what He did, so now you have a spiritual issue and a physical issue, the mental issue, because you're dealing with the grief.
Right.
So you
Right.
have to look at the whole person when you're dealing with someone. And that's my approach to counseling. I look at the whole person. I talk to them, get the full story. I'm on them about you. Make sure you go to the doctor.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't push meds unless you can't function without meds.
Mm-hmm.
Then I'm like, you need to go see someone, because I can't. My 1 hour a week can't keep you alive.
Right. Yeah. I say this 2 hours a day.
Right.
This 2 hours on Monday not gonna keep you alive.
Right.
But
I mean, I've put some people on twice, 2, 3 times a week, and I'm still worried about their safety. And I have
Right.
someone actually now in the hospital. And so I don't ignore medicine,
Right.
but I try to get you better as coping on your own. And if medicine needs to be a part of it, then it's a part of it. But that's not going to be the only way you're going to deal with your mood or anxiety.
Right. Now, and so I mean, and again, I always tell people when I do some, especially shows like this, I'm do it because I need help.
Okay.
And I ask certain questions which I know that other people may have the same issue with. But again, we talk about counseling and we talk about dealing with past issues. Dealing with a painful past. From your point of view, we talk about guilt.
Mm-hmm.
How much does that play a part in getting counseling?
Mm-hmm. It plays a very large part, I think. Well, I'm going to say, I don't know if it keeps them from getting counseling, but I do see a lot of guilt coming in the door.
Right.
And a lot of times people get into counseling because they just can't take it anymore. And
Right.
they're finally admitting, and I think with TV making it so popular now, people are more willing to come in.
Right.
But guilt plays a major part. There's a lot of unforgiveness,
Mm-hmm.
unforgiveness of others, and unforgiveness of self.
Right.
And I find that once people get to telling some of those painful stories, getting it out,
Mm-hmm.
they start to feel better. They've been holding stuff in and not talking for so long,
Right.
and just holding it in. And people, they burnt out family. Family don't want to hear their problems, or they don't trust their family with the problems.
Right.
So they come in and they just feel so hopeless. Like, I don't think you can really do anything, but I just hope that we talking, and just letting them vent.
Right.
And they feel just a smidgen better. And I say, okay, see, we're gonna keep doing this until you feel better.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes all it is all you need is a conversation. And that's why I named the book A Healing Conversation.
Right.
I want people to understand that counseling is just a conversation.
Mm-hmm. But I mean, again, now when you say that, dealing with guilt, which one is would you can say is much more? Well, for some people, it's not, neither one is easier. But when you feel guilt towards another person versus guilt for yourself, which one is kind of the harder to deal? Which one is harder to deal with?
When you feel like you've offended a person versus when you feel like you've offended yourself.
Right, or when you let yourself down,
Mm-hmm.
something like me, I'm very hard on myself.
Yeah.
I am very
I was going to say that's probably the issue, is the unreasonable expectations. And
Mm-hmm.
that's where I usually try to explore with people on the expectations they have themselves. And then asking them if they have that on other people. And they're like, oh, no, I wouldn't expect them to do those things. But they put those unreasonable expectations on themselves. And from a spiritual perspective, where's your grace?
Mm.
Where's the grace? Why won't you allow yourself to be faulty? Or like I like to put it, so that people can get into a place of forgiving themselves, you can't truly heal unless you be honest and tell God what it is that you're weak at. Like, if you're struggling with something morally, or struggling with something a personal value, and but you're trying to put on a face and say that you're not, and you're doing good and you're fine, until you can be honest in your prayer time with God, because that's probably where most people hold their moral register. They feel like they're disappointing God,
Right.
not just themselves. When you can be honest with them and say, "This is where I'm struggling. If I don't have you step in, Lord, I can't deal with this situation. I don't have the strength to fix this."
Right.
So it depends on the issue, how we come at it, but a lot of the times it is dealing with the unreasonable expectations, allowing for grace. It's very hard. I'm gonna say this is probably gonna be a little offensive. Well, not intentionally, but people might take it that way. When dealing with people of religious backgrounds, Catholics and Pentecostals are the hardest with the guilt.
Mm.
They struggle very hard, um, because there's so much should in their belief system.
Right.
And so I think it's probably easier to speak to a Pentecostal person as far as understanding grace.
Mm-hmm.
I have a harder time with Catholics because you I'm not Catholic, so in their mind I'm not.
You can't
I
tell
can't
me
tell
nothing.
them right because I'm not part of the church anyway in their eyes. But
Right.
when they're open, they seem to be they are very difficult to deal with. But trying to teach them grace
Right.
and
And honestly, because again, like you said, because you mentioned it before in the aspect of the importance of the church, being that avenue for counseling. And I mean, and unfortunately, and they say in certain cases now, and I mean, I don't have anything against these churches, but now the whole financial aspect, we would call it more on making the money,
yeah.
and saying, well, we got this, and churches here got churches all across the world. It's like, whoa, hold
Yeah.
on. So what about the
Church franchise. Yeah.
right?
Right.
Well, the new church coming to a city near you. Whoa, wait a minute.
Right.
And then, but the whole personal relationship.
It gets lost. It gets
Right.
lost. And I did a leadership training for some church leaders recently, and I said the the example of discipleship in the Bible, not to get too preachy, but the example of discipleship is John the Baptist.
Mm-hmm.
John the Baptist had followers. And when Jesus came on the scene, he pointed out Jesus so that they could recognize him for themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And they went on and followed them for themselves because they knew who he was at that point.
Right.
I said most pastors today would never point Jesus out to you because they would be worried about not having anyone following them.
Mm.
And so this is the resistance I get in my field, because I've had clients come tell me their pastor says you don't need that counseling, you just need to come to church.
Wow.
Why would you step in between someone who's trying to better themselves,
Right.
who's trying to get better?
Right.
Do you feel like I'm a threat to you? And I mean, some of it's old school belief thinking that psychology is like not of God, but a lot of them are afraid that, or they feel the need to be all. Let me put it that way.
Right.
They need to be the answer to everyone's problems, but that becomes a heavy burden to bear. And I like to tell people that becomes a liability for the pastor.
Right. I mean, and not only that, because one thing I think people kind of forget in that aspect is the fact that Jesus did have disciples.
Mm-hmm.
He couldn't go everywhere.
Right.
He couldn't do everything.
Mm-hmm.
And then when he ascended, he was not here anymore.
Right.
Somebody had to do the work.
Right.
And it's easy for people to accept. It's like, okay, well, who are you?
Mm-hmm.
But I come, and then once you find out, so
Yeah.
and now I'm open to it. Go ahead.
But then that's why we're trying to go. I have a network of Black therapists. We're forming a little network. We aren't official yet, but it's a bunch of us who are in private practice.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason we formed is because we see a need in the Black community. There's more resistance in the Black community as opposed to other communities.
Right.
And a need in the church.
Mm-hmm.
And so we want to help to become like a resource for churches. Come in and do trainings and help them understand mental illness. And when I did this one church leadership, I mean, they were just on the edge of their seats, like, okay, now explain this. Like, they really wanted to learn, and I can respect the fact that they were open to learning.
Right.
And there are a lot of churches who are, but then there are some who are just old school and they're not ready to deal with it. Just pray it away. That's all you need to do. Pray away the problem. And for some people, it takes a little bit more.
Right.
And what I tell people who might be stuck in the old school thinking to just pray it away or just, there would, and you being you're a minister or your child of a
Preacher's
minister?
kid,
Okay,
yes.
PK. So you want to help me with the Bible location.
Okay.
There was a man, like a royalty type man or leader or something, and he
Mm-hmm.
went to a prophet
Right.
to get healing.
Right.
And the prophet said, go dip in that dirty lake.
And he was not happy
He
about
was
that.
not happy. He just, why can't you just speak healing to me and make me
Right,
well?
right.
But his process was the lake. And I say sometimes counseling is that dirty lake. We don't want to have
Mm-hmm.
to go there. But if that's the process God has for you to get your healing,
Right.
go dip in the lake.
Not only that, and that also comes back to the level of faith that you have, because you this is again when we talk about I talked about earlier, the whole putting a price on people's heads, or this whole microwave thing. That's not just for younger generation.
Yeah.
Everybody's kind of adapted to that. Well, if it ain't quick, if I can't get the money, and it's like I don't want to do it. But mind you, everything does not come quick.
Right.
You
Right.
know, like you said, it doesn't. Not everybody needs the medicine. Not everybody can be healed or be
Exactly.
solved. All problems can be solved in an hour.
Right.
So what do I do after that? I tell you what, because we can. Yeah, I
Okay.
told you. Then I tell you what's gonna happen. We gotta go to a commercial break because I'm running late. We gotta go to a commercial break. When I come back, I'm gonna continue the conversation with Miss Robyn C. Hill. Okay, I don't know why I just said that. I don't know. It just came to me. Robyn Hill, again, she is the author of A Healing Conversation: Beginning Steps Towards Dealing with a Painful Past. Feel free to call in if you have any questions or comments at area code 914-338-0665. That's area code 914-338-0665. Or do like Tina Hobson and join us in our chat room. Again, that's at blogtalkradio.com/who has the power. We'll be right back after this commercial break.
How am I doing?
Good.
Okay.
Oh, you excellent.
I feel like I'm jumping all over the place.
Oh,
I'm
no,
not.
no, no, no. See, man, you talk just like I do.
Okay,
You know, the main thing is, as long as the focus is still the same, as long as the focus comes back, or the whole, I say the main idea is still um, being established. I mean, honestly, I've heard it one time too many when it comes to churches and how they've literally lost hold of the community, and everybody just kind of doing whatever they see is right, whatever they feel is the
Right.
right thing. It's like, hold on, what did the church pastor say about? Oh, I ain't listening to no pastor because he doing out doing this, and the
Right.
ministers they trying to get on, they trying to outshine the pastor. It's like, okay, so who's there to help?
And then it's always the next. I tell them what I call this. I can't do any more spiritual pep rallies. I can't go anywhere where it's like, come get your blessing, come get
Right,
this now.
right.
I can't do it. It's just you're selling something. It's not genuine.
Right. Yeah, I mean, and unfortunately, that's where a lot of churches are now. Like I said, I don't want to mention any in particular, but
Yeah.
I just know I'm tired of seeing churches pop
I
up.
haven't I haven't even I know it sounds bad. I haven't been to church in several months. I was at a church, and I was actually trying to create a lay counseling program for them, but I think their issues was making me sick, and I literally was laid out on the floor. I couldn't move for months in
Wow.
pain. I would get up and make it to work and get home, pop a Percocet
Oh
or
no.
drink vinegar water
Mhm.
or whatever. I had Flexeril. I was in rotation.
Mhm.
This would take, so I didn't want to be dependent on anything. Vinegar water worked best out of everything, which was surprising me. But yeah, I was laid out on the floor. My kids would get my pillows and lay them out for me. I couldn't move. So I had to sit back and say, okay, what do I need to cut out? And when I decided I wasn't going back to church, I've been walking fine. I ain't but that's only one of the things. That wasn't the only thing, but that was just part of it. And I think it was because of their one minister. I just want to put my name on it. She want to put her name at the top. And I kept struggling with it. Like, okay, it's not about me, but
Right.
why do you need your name at the top of this? I'm not understanding. And then just a whole lot of mess. And I said, oh God. I think the way I feel is God said it's okay. You don't have to go back. They missed the blessing that was coming. They missed it.
Right.
because they were out of order. I was just, I think the pastor's heart is good, but
Right.
the church is just.
Yeah, I hear you.
Oops.
That's gonna cost you. And we are back. We are back again. I'm joined live in the studio by Miss Robyn Hill, author of A Healing Conversation, Beginning Steps Towards Dealing with a Painful Past. We're going to get into this book in a little bit. Definitely you want to call in if you have any questions or comments. Feel free to call in and feel free to call in area code 914-338-0665. That's area code 914-338-0665. Or you can join us in our chat room at the bottom of our show page. Yeah, join us at the bottom of our show page, and we will definitely take your questions or comments. And yeah, this is and definitely or join Tina Hobson. She is in our chat room right now. She's waving. I don't know if she's leaving, if she's coming, if she's going. I don't know. I'm hoping she's staying. But definitely want you to know that you have the opportunity to talk to Miss Robyn Hill. And I mean, we didn't talk about this yet because the conversation got good. But let's talk about what you do. As far as your um, counseling services and professional development, which is very important. Tell us about that first of all.
Counseling, I offer individual. I do some family, and I'm starting to expand to couples. When I didn't want to do couples for the longest, but they wear me down, and it's become. I'm realizing that couples is a major part of the individual counseling.
Right.
I'm dealing with the person. I got to get the spouse in there eventually. So I do that. I specialize in depression, anxiety, and trauma recovery, primarily with adults. And as young as I'll go for teens is 14.
Right.
But like I said, I have a network of other therapists, and we all take different populations and different insurances. So if I can't take a person, I can refer to a person. And then I also...
And hold on real quick, if you don't mind me saying, I applaud you for that because for some people, they won't do that. It's like, okay, well, I can't help you, but can you refer me to somebody else? Well, I don't know nobody else.
There's a lot of competition out there.
Right.
And I feel like what God has for me, has for me. No one can steal anything from me. So,
right.
If we can all build each other up, then we can all go up together.
Right.
And it's like, as far as you're saying, am I my brother's keeper? I have an intern. So if I don't take insurance and you do want to come to my office, the intern offers the free counseling for insurances that I can't accept.
Okay.
Yeah. And she's a very qualified intern. I always get qualified interns. I interview them. I don't just get anybody off the street. Because I had a lady call today. She really wants to see me. She don't want to see the intern. She said, I don't know. It's an intern. I said, but she's qualified.
Just what? They don't know what they're doing. How long have they been there? How old is she? She's what, like 18?
But she's under my teaching. So it's not like she's just, she came to me. And most of them, they come to me so they can get skills from me. So,
right.
Yeah. So that's what I do, the counseling. I'm hopefully going to be able to start some groups soon.
Okay.
I would love to do a healing conversation group.
Right.
Which would be to get people the skills and get them started working towards their healing. So if anyone's interested, we can get it started whenever. Professional development. I do trainings and skills groups. I help organizations, like I partner with Reason to Live, help them with some curriculum development for like anti-suicide prevention, or we're working on leadership, what I call it leadership for the kids, anti-bullying training, and do different like workshops, trainings on mental health. If an organization wants someone to come in and talk about mental health, illness, and wellness, and I've done training on diversity and mental health, and having a good diversity inclusion policies at employment. So I do different types of trainings. If I'm a talker, so you give me a topic and I'll do the research and get it for you.
Right. This is an issue in some workplaces, and unfortunately, it takes for something major or drastic to happen before they call in counseling. But from your experience, how important on a daily basis is it to have that service there, or for that workplace to offer that to their employees? Again, beyond
Right.
just a traumatic experience.
Right. Most jobs have an EAP,
Okay.
which is an employee assistance program. And I'm enlisted on a couple uh, companies. Um, so you got to check with your human resources. They may
Mhm.
have that, and they will pay for up to about 5 sessions, 5 or 6 sessions for you.
Mhm.
And then usually you might have an insurance that they can take afterwards, or maybe to get more sessions, however they work that out. But
Right.
companies realize they have to offer that. One, and mental illness is a disability, and it is against the law to discriminate against it.
Right.
So if a person is having an issue with their mental health, you can't just fire them, just like you couldn't fire someone who's having a physical disability. So those things are protected under the laws. Additionally, they find that it increases productivity to have those services available.
Mhm.
If a person is having anxiety issues and depression issues, it's better to give them the services to help them get better than let them keep taking off work and calling in sick.
Right.
If they know they have the support and services there, and it's highly confidential, like they don't have, your employer never gets the records from me.
Mm.
They can't call me up and ask me anything. Usually there's a third party, the employee assistance program, the employer may call or you may call
Mhm.
them, and then they call me. No one ever gets any of my records unless it's requested, and I need a release signed for that.
Right.
So those services are available. It's very important to have that in the workplace, because this day and age, and especially with, I want to do a workshop on workplace bullying, because there's a lot of managers who don't know how to manage, and they are causing people to have mental health issues because
Mhm.
of their management styles. So it's very important to have that in the workplace. People's jobs are literally driving them crazy.
Right. I mean, and I've heard that on multiple occasions, even when it comes to schools. You
Mm-hmm.
know, I've been to. I had the honor of going to. Well, the opportunity. I had the opportunity to go to the Ohio Department of Education. You
Okay.
know,
Mm-hmm.
and there was a group of teachers from a school, and they talked about, I mean, literally what you're talking about,
Mm-hmm.
the fact that there was a certain group of teachers of a certain nationality who
Mm-hmm.
got more of this and got more of that, and
Mm-hmm.
they come and go and they please, they call off, but then
Yeah.
they, on the other hand, will get the
Yeah.
fifth degree, you know, maybe 20 lashes. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
not 20 lashes,
Right. Right.
but, you know, it felt like
Mm-hmm.
it, you know, or even better, you know, the whole charter school system
Yeah.
where the teachers don't have the resources they need. They really care about the kids, and it's
Mm-hmm.
like they're battling between: do I quit? Do I
Right.
leave the kids? Do I keep going?
Not just charter, the public schools too. And
Right.
I have a few teachers on my caseload. I'm not going to put them out there, but I have a few
Mhm.
from different school districts. But the one Cleveland Public School, she didn't have any desks on the first day of
Oh
school.
wow.
You know,
So we
just
doing the Indian style.
I think she worked it out with a table. I mean, she was innovative, but you know, dealing with the lack of supplies. I think my sister had posted she moved to Charlotte, and it's on the um, school supply list was a ream of copy paper. They wanted every kid to bring in a ream. They don't have the supplies. They don't have paper in the school system,
Wow.
so they wanted them to bring a ream. Every kid had to bring a ream of paper for the school year.
First of all, we don't even like paper like that, so why are we bringing you paper?
Right, right. I don't want any more paper being handed out. I said they better write a grant. What is the
Right,
problem?
right,
Why are they asking the parents to supply the copy machine paper?
right.
But this is the states that they're working in. This is how these teachers are. So they got a high expectation to produce
Mhm.
with no resources, and the work hours are much longer. It's not what it used to be.
Mhm.
So they're at work all day, then they bring the work home all night, grading papers, doing all this. So very high stress environment. And then when they don't perform, it looks bad on them. Now they got it where their money is based on these testing. So if they don't
Right,
pass the test, they don't get raises and things like that. So that's high stress
right.
on top of whatever they may have going on at home.
Yeah, and then you
Right.
had to, and like I said, then they don't feel comfortable talking, like you
Mm-hmm.
said, because what if this gets back to my boss?
Right, right. But it doesn't. Not with the EAP. And even if
Mm-hmm.
you go get them out on your own, but definitely with the EAP, unless you are mandated to go to counseling, that means you acted up on the job and they are requiring you to go. And
Right.
then only then will they know is if you went.
Mm-hmm.
That's all they'll know.
Oh wow. I I hope that people do take advantage of that. I think I have one for my job. I just never used
Yeah,
it.
a lot of jobs have them. You'd be surprised, and you don't know they're there until a critical incident happens, and then they
Right.
bring in the trauma people. But usually they have them for that as well as you got about probably 3 to 5 individual sessions free.
Okay. Now let's talk about Virtue Inc. for women.
That is my nonprofit organization. I created that because it was always in my heart to create something community based.
Mm-hmm.
But as I'm counseling people, and I worked at various agencies all for years before I started my own practice, I would say, well, where's your support system? Who can you go to? Who can you talk to? These people have no supports.
Mm.
There's nothing left anymore. And I'd say, especially when I work with teenagers, well, can you go to grandma? You know, mom's drunk or something. Well, can you go stay with grandma or can you go hang out with grandma more? And, well, grandma's on drugs. Grandma's not
Mm.
the grandma that they used to have back in the
Big
day.
Mama.
Mm-mm.
Mm. Probably
Grandma's out there.
my say it's probably because Big Mama like 40 years old.
Right. Right. There's no stability. And so I wanted to create community programming to help foster that stability. So in Virtual Influence, we do programs for youth, adults, and entrepreneurs.
Mm-hmm.
Right now on hold is my teen program because I need volunteers. I don't have the time to run. I had an after school program,
Right.
and I'm stopping that for right now until I get some more workers. And I want to actually take it to the high school level. I was working with middle school. I want to go high school.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what we do for teens. For single moms, we do Thrive, which we just formed a partnership with HM Life in
Okay.
Macedonia. It's a transitional housing shelter for single mothers, and we do the empowerment training and helping. And we want it to be like a wraparound. So even after they leave the transitional housing,
Mm-hmm.
they still have us as a part of their support system.
Right.
Because what happens is when you get in these programs in the community, you do 3 months over here, 6 months over there, but no one follows you, and so you build these relationships, and then well, the money's ran out and your services are over. So
Right.
we have it so that we're with you for a year or two. We're gonna stay with you, build these relationships with you, and that way you know you have someone to call.
Right.
So we do that. We mentor, and I do need mentors for that program. I have about 7 wonderful young ladies who all want to help others, and they just need some encouragement. The
Mm-hmm.
mentors are not to be social workers.
Right.
They are
Right.
to be just, there to offer feedback,
Right.
not babysitting, not loaning money, none of that stuff. You just letting them know how you are, how you did it. And you don't have to be a single mom to be a mentor because sometimes a married woman can give good insight as well.
Right.
And then we have the Boss Ladies, which is our entrepreneurship mentoring thing. We do a brunch every other month, and we're about to start doing some other things to grow it. We were going to do a conference. We're going to put that off. And I want to, I don't know, maybe it's because I haven't had a vacation, but I would rather make the conference on a cruise or something.
Right. Say
I was like,
we're
what's
going. We're
that?
all going to go to Kalahari. What? That's
Right.
not a. I'm not
I was
talking
looking,
about nothing.
I was looking at Put in Bay. I'm like, we need to do the conference somewhere nice. But so we work on entrepreneurship, women being self sufficient
Right.
and self efficacy. Um, so we like to encourage women to start businesses.
Mm-hmm.
Especially if you're a mother, working a full time job sometimes is not the key. That's what pushed me into my business when me and my ex husband separated.
Mm-hmm.
They were going with him on every weekend. They still do to this day. They go with their dad every weekend. I was working full time job. By the time I picked them up from aftercare, I put them in before care, picked them up from aftercare, cook dinner, homework, bedtime. I
Mm-hmm.
wasn't spending time with my kids. So now I
Wow.
run my business where I'm working during school hours and I leave, go pick them up from school, and we have the rest of the afternoon. So
Mm.
I encourage women to go into business because then you can set your own pace after a while. So
Right.
that's that. And then we also, you open the door with the Virtual for Women. We have gone international. We have a Uganda office. One of the pastors in Uganda reached out to me and said, I like the vision and we want that here.
Mm.
So we're mirroring our departments over there and we have been doing a sundresses drive, and I need everyone to clear out their closets and get the last bit of them sundresses and get them over to me so that I can send them to Africa. As I want my girls to have sundresses. The teenagers, we did a beauty project and we talked about what makes you feel beautiful and negative beauty images. And the girls said that dresses make them feel beautiful. And the mommy and me said, oh, my girls said they need dresses. They need dresses. So I did a sundress drive, but I want them for everyone. Women, babies, whatever. Just sundresses they can give them out into the community.
Wow. And that's, again, just first of all, to hear that and the fact that you are branching out across the war, as they would like to say, that's a big deal. Not to say, I mean, in certain aspects, people have the issue. Well, what about the people back home? And this is blah 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 blah. It is countries like Uganda who really are less fortunate,
Very.
and just to have, like you said, a dress is a big deal for them. It's like they will probably take pictures. They will wear that one dress every day. It's like, God, don't you have? I'm just happy I got this dress.
Oh my gosh, when I started the program, I started with just the teens, and they all wrote me letters. I said I wanted letters to take to the board. I said write the board letters so they know what
Right.
who introduce yourself. And they all wrote the letters to me, and they wrote, Mom Robyn. Oh my gosh, if I didn't start crying, like, oh my gosh, they called me Mom. But and that's why I still do the Cleveland. But we have to think beyond ourselves.
Right.
We have to think for us and others. And part of the values that we have values in virtuing in physical, social, spiritual, and I'm drawing a blank.
No, I'm messing.
Physical, spiritual, social, and there's another one. But the social component, not only are we talking about building up your support system, but also giving back to the community. So this gives them an opportunity to give back to Africa. So like with the Boss Ladies here, we are sponsoring a businesswoman there.
Okay.
So each person, Tina Hobson is one of them, who is sponsoring a woman over there. And I'm still working out the fine-tuning. I had been sick all summer, but fine-tuning the program. But with a small donation to a woman over there so she can run a business. There's like people that sell things in the market and stuff.
Right.
To encourage entrepreneurship over there and self-efficacy over there.
That's major again. And that's something I like to hear. I like to hear that we said, first of all, James Brown said it's a man's world. But there was something added on to that.
But it'd be nothing.
Right. I mean, I've seen some women get out there and literally be successful, and of course you have certain people, certain organizations are starting to recognize it, but some of the most powerful business people are women. Some of the most influential business people are women.
Right.
And to first of all know that is possible, and then know that I have the support in doing that. That's major, because that might have been just a passing thought that is now reality.
And you looking biblically, you got the woman, the widow, with the son, and she's saying, we're about to die, and Elijah said, well, make me, I think I'm mixing my stories up. Mixing them up. There was a woman who said she just had oil, and he said, go get jars from everybody in the area. Get all the jars you can get and fill up them jars with the oil that you have. And she did. She used what she had, which was nothing but a jar of oil.
Right.
And she went and borrowed and then she was able to pay them all back for the jars and had a business, because it said that it took care of her and her son for the rest of their days.
Right.
She had a business. That wasn't just a miracle. God gave her a business to sustain her, because in her position in the society she was in, there was no man that was going to marry her.
Right.
Not saying that the women, it's just the odds of marriage right now are slim. But for her situation, she was a single mom, she was a widow, and in that society, usually you had to have a husband in order to survive.
Right.
But God blessed her with a business so that she could survive.
Right.
And so I think there's a special thing when it comes to women entrepreneurs. It's not just about making money. It's a sustainability, and I believe God blesses it. I don't know. Maybe I'm just selfish like that. I just think that God has a special place in His heart for women,
Oh
and
yeah.
helping them to take care of themselves and their families.
Right. And I mean that's very important again, um, especially when we talk about our young ladies. You
Mm-hmm.
know, with all um, the negative, the negative things that are out there right now. With again,
Mm-hmm.
music, television. You know, the 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 publicity says, you know, it's better to be loose. It's
Mm-hmm.
better to be loud and rambunctious. It's like, okay,
Mm-hmm.
hold on.
When I was doing my teen program last year, we got to the self-esteem project, and I wanted them to tell me things about themselves, qualities about them, not just stuff that they like to do, but tell
Mhm.
me some positive things about you, your personality, and they could not do it, and they were almost resistant to doing it.
Wow.
Like they didn't want to have this conversation.
Mhm.
And so the therapist and me said, well, then we can't move forward. We are going to keep drilling this self esteem piece. It was very hard. And I think part of it was because their age.
Mhm.
But it was very hard to keep their attention, very hard for them to speak positivity into themselves.
Right.
And then I had them do an activity where they had to speak positivity into each other called Fill My Cup, where the girls would have a cup, a picture of a cup, and they had to put a positive word about the person. They struggled with that. They couldn't speak positively to each other.
Mhm.
And this is the state of what's going on with our youth. They don't know anything besides dancing. And, if I did say, what tell me something about, I can step, I can cheer, I can play basketball. Okay, well, what about you? What makes you beautiful?
Right.
And they could not. They struggled. They struggled big time. So this is what we need. That's why mentorship, and I prefer mentoring teens than counseling them, because I feel like they need relationship,
Right.
and the counseling relationship requires me to keep some boundaries there. But they need that understanding of who they are. They don't know where they're going.
Right.
How can they know where they're going when they can't even look themselves in the mirror?
Mm. Wow. Yeah. That's and I don't know. That makes me a little emotional because I see kids. I am a mentor, and
Mm-hmm.
you know, over my time of mentoring, I've seen the attitudes. I mean, and I don't mentor young ladies. I mentor young
Mm-hmm.
men. But even with young men,
Yeah,
it's the same
same
thing.
thing.
You know, it's more with the young men. It's about fitting in, and
Mm-hmm.
you know, there's no individuality because hey, me, I'm going to hang out with the guys. What the
Mm-hmm.
guys are doing, that's what we're doing. But
Right.
and then
But they wanted it. I would go to the school to recruit, and they say, "What about us?" They
right,
was mad. I said, "I'm looking for somebody." I couldn't find any men who would commit. No, I did eventually. His name's Stefan Davis, and he's a very passionate young man. He's doing his own movie and everything right now. He committed to it, and he brought someone with him, and he would work with those boys. And we went to a charter school down 93rd and Union. So
mhm,
I want to work with what I call in the trenches ministries. I don't want to be sitting off in the suburbs somewhere telling everybody to come to me. I take it to
right,
them.
right,
And so he worked with them, but it took me over a year to find a guy who was willing to go into the school and help with the boys.
mhm,
Everybody had excuses. Ain't got time. Mentoring don't work because the parents got to be on board. And yeah, it's relationship.
right,
You have to build. You may not see the progress you think you want to see, but when it comes to their back against the wall, they will come talk to you, and that's
right.
what matters.
Yeah. Wow. All right, we gotta get back on.
Sorry.
I'm sorry. I'm that's just I have a soft spot for that
Right.
conversation. I mean, just period. 'Cause here we go, about to run into a commercial break again. But only because one of the things I stress on this show a lot, and I just talked. I was at a conference. I was at a workshop yesterday, and they talked about some of the things going on in society and why are we still doing it and why are we still allowing certain people or certain entities to influence us.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't get a chance to meet because first of all I was late But I'll admit I was late. But then again, there was a lot of people. There was a lot of people talking, and I kind of didn't want to put it out there. I am going to have the young man organize that conversation. He's going to be on the show Wednesday. But I mentioned to him um, in regards to this conversation of why are we still buying in, or why are we still supporting a system that's not helping us. One, I mean, it's not the only reason, but that's because we're not teaching each other. We're not saying to each other, you know what, I'm going to support you, you support me.
Right.
And the more we bring that, the more support that comes, like you said, even when it comes to the therapist, the more we create a support system, the less we have to depend on another support system. But again, when we have this dog eat dog,
Right.
crab in the bucket syndrome, you know, that's why we end up in the position that we're in.
Right.
That's why we have to depend on somebody else, because we're not helping ourselves. We're not helping each other. We're saying, well, hey, I got mine. Now you got to go get yours.
Right. And you know, and even in the nonprofit sector,
Yes.
because I have people, they don't even realize it because I think they blow me off. I offer plenty of people free clinical support. And I'm gonna say this now, so my phone's gonna blow up now. But I make it like for most. I don't charge most of the organizations I work with anything, and I will even allow them to, if you want to put me on the board so that you can have my credentials, so that you can get a grant, do so. You know, I'm here to help you. So if you need me to create a program for you, and you can say you got a licensed therapist that's over it, here I am.
We got a new therapist.
And most people don't bite because they're so busy trying to cover their own, they protect their little area. They don't realize what I'm offering them.
Right.
And I've gotten blown off, and after a while, it's not going to always be free because my time
is
valuable, and it's getting thin.
You ain't put in on this. How's you still getting for free? Come on now.
That's just unfortunate. But there's some people who saw it and they could see the vision and they took it.
Right.
I remember I helped someone get a grant and I never saw a penny of the.
That was not me. That was not me.
No, it wasn't. It was. I think what happened was they were trying to open up a group home and it never got. Was like approved or
right.
You know, so they got the grants. I'm pretty sure they had to get the money back, but they did get the grant. I helped develop a curriculum that got them a grant. So.
Yes. Somebody says, what is your time? Are you available after the show? Right. Yes. I'll tell you what. Right now, we need to go to a commercial break. I'm gonna get on time next week. I'll be on next time Wednesday, I think. We're going to go to a commercial break. When we come back, because we've talked a little bit about it, I want to get more into this book, A Healing Conversation, Beginning Steps Towards Dealing with a Painful Past, with, again, live in the studio with me, Robyn Hill. Why am I struggling with that? Robyn Hill is live in the studio with me. Again, you can call in with your questions or comments at area code 914-338-0665. It's area code 914-338-0665. Or you can join our chat room right here at blogtalkradio.com/who has the power. We will be right back after this commercial break.
Yeah, it was going to be a reentry housing place. It was going to be a really good, but I think, I don't know who got approved the housing, but it never got approved.
Wow.
And I was going to lead the groups from now. I don't have time to do it anyway, but at the time, I had all the time where I would lead the groups. You can do anger management and all kinds of different groups.
But I mean, it's interesting. That people do that, you know. Well, see, this is my thing. It's not even about offering it free. It's when you say, okay, I need some money, and everybody just, it's like, you go the opposite way, like, hold on now, I've been doing all of this.
Right.
You know.
And like I have a single mom brunch. Stay at a single mom address. We do a Mother's Day brunch with State Mother. I invited a couple of single parent organizations to come out, and no one even responded. And I'm like, but then you'll send me invites to your events, and it's like, I'm gonna give you a free platform because I told you if you come and have a table, I will introduce your organization at the event. Like, we need to work together. It's
Right.
not about your ground and my ground, but everyone's competing. Everybody wants to be on the next national scene.
Right. And especially right now with this whole domestic violence thing. Oh my God. I mean, really, that
Off the record. Is this
yeah.
off? How was
No,
this
it's not
record?
off the record. It's not off the record. Not
Because
yet.
I don't know how. I know you had Laura in the
Yeah.
office, but she to me seems like she lacks the substance, and she's trying to get the
Yeah,
national.
you might not want to say it. You're being recorded too. We'll talk about that
Okay.
after.
Okay. You
But
gotta erase that. Then.
no, I don't know if I can erase that. I can't erase that because it's on. But no, the thing is, it's my thing. Um, when it comes to helping on the issue, you really have to. Well, I mean, education is definitely important, but you really have to go beyond the issue. And nobody goes beyond the issue. I mean, they dabble in it, but and even me, I had to deal with that because I was at the whole, oh well, we're just gonna be positive, and I still,
But no, helping has become a new fad. You know what I'm saying? Like to be a coach. That's the new fad. You helping people. It's not necessarily that you have a passion. Everyone's trying to get paid. Somehow, like virtual ain't, I don't get no money for that. Absolutely none. I get no money in my pocket at all. And we barely raising money. And I was putting actually more money into it than anything. But that's just my passion.
right.
My passion to help people.
I mean, I need to stop having so much passion
Right.
because I had too much passion. People like, what? You gonna have a charge?
Right.
Yeah.
And that's what happened with mine is I said, Lord, okay, I do virtue wing as long as you take care of the counseling practice and I make money. And I wasn't making no money over here, so I think I had to refocus my attention to keep building up the counseling practice because I'm doing all this free work and I can't pay my bills.
Right.
So I gotta have balance.
And we are back. We are back, and I am joined today live in the studio by Miss Robyn Hill, who is the author of A Healing Conversation: Beginning Steps Towards Dealing with a Painful Past. Real quick, just because I've been looking at this book, and I really don't know what this means. What does PCC stand for?
Professional Clinical Counselor. And actually now the state in July put our L back in there. So now it's LPCC. Licensed Professional Clinical Counselor.
Okay, I mean,
so
I'm just.
I'm a licensed counselor. I'm a master's level trained counselor.
Okay.
When it comes to therapists, you have a LPCC or an LISW, which is a licensed independent social worker.
Right.
And then you might have a PhD psychologist.
Mm-hmm.
They're doctoral trained. So when you come to masters, you either got to have an LPCC or an LISW, or the new license, which is a MFT, licensed marriage family therapist. And not to throw any shade at them, they're a newer license, and so it's harder to build up a practice with that one. But it's coming. Their time is coming. So when it comes to the state of Ohio, they render those 3 licenses.
Okay. Well, like I said, I just want to know because I see letters and.
Yeah. Professional clinical counselors, we deal more with the individual. We get a lot more training on individual counseling. Social workers get a lot more training on agency and resources and stuff. And so, Tina, which you mentioned her since she's in the chat room.
Yeah, she's still there.
She's a social worker. So I lean to her. I send people to her, and I actually need to send another person to her because I don't have the resources for some of my clients they need. So she works for another agency, and I send them to there.
Oh wow! Well, yeah. Thank God. Where we at? Okay. Yeah. See, that's always good. That's why I like networking. I mean, it's necessary in like you said, you do one thing and Tina does another thing and I'm doing another thing, and God, eventually we all gonna be famous and we gonna be laid in the shade. No, I don't
Right.
know.
We can go on a vacation.
I don't know if that's gonna ever happen. I don't think I had none of my colleagues have vacations. We don't even have weekends.
Right.
What's the last time I had a
I know I had
weekend?
2 meetings yesterday. It's Sunday. I said, I don't even get a Sabbath rest. I had to schedule meetings because I didn't know what the time to do it.
I don't know. What was that? I had a football game Saturday. I was mentoring Saturday. Yeah, and I had a workshop Sunday. Then I had the broadcast Sunday night. We get.
Yeah.
We will get. It happens.
That's that free thing we keep talking about.
Yes.
Right.
It comes. It goes somewhere around there. We get a break in there. But we have to talk about this book because again, this is very necessary. Like I said, we've talked about it a little bit, but let's get more in depth into how counseling is necessary. How you said the guidelines or the steps to dealing with or getting into counseling. What is the probably the biggest issue or the biggest I say the most the most issue the biggest issue I don't know how I'm trying to say it. The issue that's brought to you most,
A lot of times, they come to me saying they're depressed or anxious, but I'm realizing a lot of people have trauma.
Mm-hmm.
You know, trauma is, in layman's terms, what I say is a negative event that split time. There was before the event, and then there's after the event. It changed your life, and it split time.
Mm-hmm.
And so, when identifying a trauma, anything that could have split time. It used to be they thought the only people that could deal with trauma, because this is when it started out, was dealing with veterans.
Mm-hmm.
You know, combat fatigue, but they're realizing other people have the same symptoms that have not been to war, but they have symptoms like they've been to war.
Right.
And so when I work with people, they come to me maybe talking about a work stress situation or something, but they really got a bigger, deeper issue going on.
Right.
And then that's what I get to after a while.
Right. Now, again, as we've talked about already, when you get into counseling, we didn't get into almost anything. There's a process that goes along with it, and not only that, there should be some type of system to sustain you after you're either done with counseling or however it goes. And so you have a chapter here about the role of coping skills. Talk to us about, what are coping skills?
Coping skills are the things that you can use to help regulate your mood. When you're feeling anxious or depressed, you need to bring yourself back to your baseline. I talk about that in the book. Your baseline is your normal level of being. Everybody's is different. Some people might always be, you ever seen them busybody people? They always at a level of anxiety. They always got a little something.
Right.
You know, so whatever your normal is. And when you deter from the normal, you need to use a coping skill to get yourself back to your normal. And then after you get yourself back to your normal, you need to use coping skills to deal with whatever the situation was that caused it in the first place. But a lot of times people are reacting and they're not back to their normal, and so they're blowing the situation up worse and worse and worse. So the coping skills are teaching you how to get yourself back to your normal and then how to address the problem after that.
Right.
When you're dealing with a painful past, that has to be drilled over and over again, learning how to regulate before we even start talking about the bad situation. Because if I bring up the bad situation, I might throw you off and you're leaving and you're saying you're fine, but you're not fine. I don't want you behind the wheel of a car. I don't want you going home cussing anybody out, pulling any weapons out, because I took you to a place that you weren't ready to go.
Right.
So I have to make sure you have the coping skills to regulate your mood, get yourself back to your normal, calm yourself down, or to bring yourself back up. And I like to use, especially when dealing with anxiety and depression, distracting or relaxation. Relaxation, meditation, prayer is a very big thing people need to learn to use, because you are a spiritual being, incorporating that spiritual piece.
Right.
Also, relaxation can be just watching, going to a spa or getting a massage or something else that's relaxing.
Right.
Distractions work best when you are so upset that you cannot relax. Then distract. I will throw on Harlem Nights in a minute. Because the fight scene will take my mind off of anything else that's going on.
I'm about to say, oh my God, because I want to move on, but since you mentioned Harlem Nights, There was every time I hear that, it brings me back to that scene where he was shooting dice, and that guy with the missing teeth.
Yes.
What you got to say? Just what do you got to say?
Get that little boy out of here. That's my movie. But see how it just makes you, it totally changes your mood.
Right.
And so that's one of my copings. Now there, it doesn't help for everybody, but put on something that gives you the opposite emotion of what you're feeling.
Right.
I have to tell a lot of people because they like to watch TV. Well, you can't watch Law and Order SVU and CSI when you're dealing with trauma. You need to turn that stuff off or turn the news off.
Right.
I tell people all the time, turn the news
I'm
off.
saying I'm gonna get myself in trouble because I know there's a lot of gladiators out there, but you can't watch Scandal either.
Right. I've never watched it, and I know that that's just gonna shock you. I've never seen the show. I've been like anti.
Right. I am too.
Okay, so I haven't seen it, so I don't know what the content is about. But I do watch stuff that probably people don't like because for me, I listen to trauma and negative stuff all day. So if I'm gonna watch something that's trifling that makes me laugh, that's what I'm gonna watch.
Right.
So I watch hilarious nonsense on TV.
Yeah, we
Okay.
My favorite movie is Don't Be a Menace to South Central while drinking your juice.
See, but that's a movie that makes you laugh. It takes your mind off. That's a coping skill.
Right.
I mean, I love Color Purple too, but if I'm feeling down, I ain't gonna watch that. I'm not gonna watch it.
See that?
Right. I watched Pursuit of Happiness one time. I will never watch that again. That was so.
Wow.
Oh, and Precious can't watch that one either.
Oh, God, I'm about to say, I don't know why we was on that same wave. I'm like, oh my God, not Precious.
But see, those are things that affect your mood, and people.
Or for Color Girls either.
Nope, never seen that one. I seen it once, and that was it. You don't need to watch that ever again.
Right.
There are things that you take in that affect your mood. People need to realize that even with music. When I work with my teens and they're depressed, and I say, stop listening to Drake, and they say, what? I say, tell me one song that Drake made that's his own song, not him singing on somebody else's, that ain't all whiny and depressed and talk. And they laugh, and they say, you right, yeah. Mm-hmm. It's something about his music that brings you down. I don't know if that's necessarily what he's saying, but the music itself. And so people need to recognize how certain things make them feel.
Right.
And so that when you're already feeling that way, you don't go to that. You need to put in something that does the opposite. So if you're depressed or anxious, when you're doing a distracting technique, put something on or some music on that makes you feel better.
Look, did I tell you somebody was going to be offended? See, I told you somebody was going to be offended if I mentioned Scandal.
Gladiator.
I love you, Sister Tina. I do, but I am not a gladiator. No, that's not me.
Well, I don't know how the show might make you feel. So if it makes you feel fine, then you go ahead and watch it.
I'm sorry. I think for me, because it was at first it was Scandal, then it was Summer Force game. Being Mary Jane is like, oh my God, they just go in like, wow. You see, I've seen my whole Facebook page, my news feed. Like, hold on.
Right.
So this is the news of the day.
Right.
You know, but
I haven't started off. But I the world, life is dramatic enough. I just can't watch that.
Not in reality TV. Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, somebody's not gonna like that either. But
well, I do watch the reality TV. I ain't gonna lie because it's funny.
Well,
I sit there and laugh at that all day long because they brought that on themselves. Ain't nothing that they do. They create the drama. That stuff is not real. None of that stuff is real. So it's funny to me that they gonna make a big old whoop hoopla about something like that.
Right. Well, and speaking of that, because there are multiple skills, and you definitely going to want you all to get a hold of this book. So I'm not going to give you the whole book, but and it's kind of crazy that we mentioned not having vacations and not having time off because one of the skills. I say that's one of the skills. Increase the fun.
Yes.
So I mean, we'll talk about that.
And because a lot of times we don't know what we like to do, and I've had to put that in there because I've worked with people who may have been married for 20 some odd years and either got a divorce or the widowed or the kids are all grown. They have no idea what they like to do now that life has changed, and so they have to go and try all kinds of new things to put fun back in their life. They don't have anyone to take care of anymore, and so it becomes a skill that needs to be learned to go have fun.
Right.
Like you all of a sudden you were working and now you're retired.
Mm-hmm.
Those life changes. You have to learn what fun is again.
Mm-hmm.
And like I put in the book, life is a railroad. It's like a railroad track. You have good and bad. We have to do nothing to create the bad in life. Bad will come find you. We don't have to create that, but you do have to create the good. You have to create the fun stuff.
Right.
And I think the the what's the word I want to say? The false belief we have is that we shouldn't have any bad. And I think because we get sold that from various places, empowerment and preaching and everything else, and reality TV and music, that life is supposed to be this big party, we have this unreasonable expectation that life is going to be good. And therefore, when bad stuff happens, something must be wrong with my life. Something must be wrong with me, that these things keep happening. No, that's a natural part of life. You have to go create the good. People are going to die. People are going to hurt you. Things are going to happen. You have to seek the healing for those bad things, but also create some good stuff.
Wow. I mean, and speaking of that, because that was important. I will say it again, but then I forgot what the heck you said. No, no, I heard what you said. That is just very important, you know. And I honestly, you would say that there should be a balance, because you know sometimes people do get caught up on just the negative or the positive. There should be a somewhat of fair balance, you know, between the two, you know. So that way, like I said, it's like you have some people that are literally just mad all the time because that's all they think about. Or like you said, you have the people that's just so overjoyed, like, what?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and some of the overjoyed people are really just masking that they're not. So, I mean, because I get the happy people too. But it's a myth, especially with our youth today. What they think that they're entitled to, I mean, they know no struggle at all.
Right.
And so when they do have to struggle, they really feel like their life is over. Their life sucks, and it's very hard dealing with younger people. Older people, I think they get stuck in expecting bad.
Right. Right. Right.
Yeah. You know, we don't expect life to be any better, and so they don't reach for anything better. You have to create better. You have to create. When you do good, fun things, and when you do these coping skills, you release the endorphins in your brain the same way the medicine will release it. It may not be in a high potency, but you release it. Exercise too.
Right.
Food too. That's the problem. That's how people overeat, because food releases them too. But when you learn to do these natural things, you can learn to release the serotonin and the dopamine yourself, and not have to rely on the medicine all the time. I think what happens a lot, especially when I've worked at agencies, I'm feeling depressed, and they go in for med consult, get the pills up right away. Well, no. What happened? Let's deal with what happened. How can you deal with it and make things better so you don't have to increase your pills?
Right. And then also, and I think this is very important, and this is in the last chapter, under Start Talking, because sometimes we get so caught up on remembering the bad that we, again, it overshadows the good. Like I said, true enough, you can't just dismiss the bad, but again, like I said, you have to be able to remember the good times. And you talk about sharing the memories, you know.
And I had to do that with one lady when I was still an intern, didn't know what I was doing. I just would pray, Lord, help me to get these, because I didn't have real good guidance when I was an intern. And I had this one lady, her baby had died 15 years prior. And she had put all the pictures away, the videos, and never really, all she talked about was his death. The moment he died and the burial. The moment he died and the burial, that's all she would ever talk about. So I made her bring in some pictures. Bring the pictures in, and you're going to tell me the stories behind the pictures and push through the tears. You can cry, go ahead and cry and everything, but I wanted you to tell me about your son. And she had to realize in that moment that she had forgot his life. All she was focusing on was his death. The baby lived 2 years, but all she would ever talk about was his death. And so being able to bring the pictures back out, because he was here, and remembering the time he was here, helped her to see the timeline differently.
Right.
And oftentimes, even with in other painful situations, having them retell the story over and over again, because they don't realize they tell it differently each time.
Right.
And helping them to remember other stuff that goes on, and where was this person, where was that, and so it wasn't all bad.
Right.
It wasn't as bad, but there was these bad times, and then trying to heal those times. The one thing I put in there, when dealing with the getting ready, some people aren't ready. They're not ready to talk. They're not ready to deal. And so they probably need to just focus on coping skills and medication until they are ready.
Right.
I never push anyone when they're not ready. And I can tell when they're not ready because they keep talking about stuff that they got nothing to do with anything week in, week out. And so I let them just keep talking. Okay, you letting me know that you're not ready because we're going to talk about this boyfriend or girlfriend every week. That has got nothing to do with anything, but okay, you're not ready. You're not ready to go there. So everybody just needs, some people just need the coping skills. And I don't judge them when they're not ready. I let them to, that's where you are. You're not ready.
Right. Well, I mean, and I understand you said that you don't force people to kind of, get there. But, I mean, usually, I mean...
You work through the resistance, though. You do.
Okay.
I say, like, we've been walking around this bush for a long time. When we ready? When we going to deal with it? You know? Because there is resistance and avoidance. And, but when I say not ready, emotionally can't handle going there. Like something might break if I keep pushing this area. So then I'll back off.
Okay. But, I mean, eventually, the thing is like you said, you can't avoid the problem, but for so long.
Right.
Again, like you said, first of all, it's only an hour.
Right.
And you still, once you leave, you still have to deal with life itself. And if you have never addressed certain issues that are again affecting your daily life, because we spoke about synergy, no part is greater than the whole.
When I see it most like with working with teens. They don't have the intellectual development, emotional development to deal sometimes. And I've had bumped heads with county workers at times. They're like, I want them to do the trauma work. Well, no, they keep cutting themselves. They can't do the trauma work. They need to just focus on coping skills. They got their whole life to come back and deal with this. Let's let them get grown and deal with it when they have the emotional stability or the emotional strength to go there. So, each person is different. And I look at it as, okay, you may not be able to deal with it today. You may come back. I've had clients come back a year later. Now they're ready. Or they'll call me and get on the schedule and then not come like they want. And I'm only, because if by chance she's listening, I'm only saying it's just to poke a jab at her so she can get back on the schedule. Because she called, I know she need to come in. She calls and then she rescheduled and then I ain't heard nothing. So, yeah.
It's time.
It's time.
It's time. That is not a light that just popped on your. That meant it's time. Like, hold on, what that light just come from? Yes, that was telling you it's time for you to make that call. No, your light is not flickering. It's just, that means you need to pick up the phone and say, "Hey, Miss Robyn, I need to see you."
Right.
But yeah, that is very important. I mean, I'm gonna sit down. I'm gonna read it myself. That I think probably chapter the skill 1. I'm gonna have to work on that one. Yeah, that's the increasing the fun. Then again, I do that. I mean, I don't know.
Well, I think you do your passion, which is the fun, but I think you probably need to do something that's just totally unrelated to what your passion is.
I don't know how to do that yet.
You have to go.
Everywhere I go, I'm promoting and I'm talking and I don't care where
I'm in the same boat with you because, like I said, I had 2 meetings on Sunday. I think I need to reevaluate what I'm doing with my time.
Well, I mean, and is that bad? Is that bad, really?
I just, and some people can go. Everyone's different. Some people can go longer, but you do need to get a vacation in there somewhere.
Right.
You need to get that time away to recharge. You can't give if you poured everything out. You have nothing left to give. So you need to be refilled back up. And everyone's different. What a refill might be. For me, I need to get to the beach somewhere. My best friend goes to the ocean on a whim because she can do that. She also has a private practice in Canton. And she just like close up shop. I'm on the beach. I got to get to the ocean. That's her serenity. And so when she's doing a whole lot and working, next thing you know, well, she also got timeshares and all that stuff. She's out. I don't have all that, so I can't afford to just be out. But yeah.
Right. Well, I mean, I definitely have enjoyed this conversation again. It's therapeutic for me. How you say it? That's the weirdest thing. It's the people that's giving the advice that need the advice. How in the world do you talk to me about having issues and you got issues yourself? Well, how you think I'm able to talk to you about them?
Exactly. A lot of people in the helping field have gone through their own issues, and so people always think you can't help me if you ain't never. You'd be surprised at what other people have been through,
right,
in this field. So as part of the healing, you get healed, you help. What is it? Maya Angelou says you get, you give, you learn, you teach.
Mm-hmm. Well, how can people learn? Well, yeah, let's do that. How can people get a hold of this book?
The book is on Amazon, Nook, and Kindle. You can go to my website, www.robynhillservices.com. That's Robyn with a Y. RobynHillServices.com. I have links to either paperback, Nook, or Kindle on there. So that's probably the easiest way to find it. Or you can just, go on Amazon and look it up by title. A Healing Conversation, Beginning Steps Towards Dealing with the Painful Past.
Right, and I will say this, you have to put beginning steps towards dealing with a painful past, because when I put up A Healing Conversation, another book, I was like, hold on, I don't think that's her book. And then I had to go back into my pictures and look like, oh, okay. Yeah. So yeah, definitely do that. And then are you on social media?
Yes, I am. I'm on Facebook. I want to say the / is Robyn Hill Counseling. I never can remember it.
Okay.
But if you look up Robyn C. Hill Counseling, you'll probably find it on there. But there's also a link on my website.
You on Twitter or anything?
I am on Twitter at Robyn C. Hill. It looks like Robyn Chill. Robyn with the Y.
Oh, I think I saw. I was like, oh, who is Robyn Chill? Okay, well, I'll tell you what. I sincerely appreciate you for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
Wow. Matter of fact, got people logging in. We can't go off. Shout out to Eagle Empowerment for joining us. Definitely make sure you go back and listen to the archive, and definitely thank Tina Hobson for joining us. Go again on our in our chat rooms. Make sure you listen to her show every Friday from 9 o'clock to 10 o'clock p.m. It's called I Am a Superwoman Radio. But for you, Miss Robyn,
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Thank you. This was awesome.
Until next time, make sure you tune in Wednesday night, and every day we're on here on this great radio network, Who Has Power Radio Network. Until next time, I'm your host, Mr. Yancey. Remember, as always, no excuses. Yeah, you had somebody logged in like, it's like, what? I think they missed the whole show. They'll be listening to the archives. As soon as it comes up, they'll listen to the archives like, wow, really? Yeah, about that.